Let's be honest, the end of the world always looks better in the movies. In cinema, the apocalypse is usually colour graded with a cool teal filter. Everyone has perfectly distressed leather jackets, and the main character always knows exactly where the secret bunker is. In reality, a nuclear event is mostly just loud, confusing, and incredibly inconvenient for your weekend plans. I'm Tom, and welcome to the Apocalypse Curriculum. Today we are walking through the first 100 days after a nuclear detonation. We are not talking about fighting zombies or becoming a warlord of the wasteland. We are talking about the boring, gritty, and absolutely vital physics of staying alive when the infrastructure of modern life decides to take an indefinite sabbatical. The scenario is simple but terrifying. A detonation has occurred. You are outside the vaporization zone, which is the immediate blast radius where physics stops being a suggestion and becomes a eraser. But you are close enough to see the flash. That flash is your starting gun. The desire here is universal. You want to grab your family, jump in the car, and drive away from the mushroom cloud at 100 miles an hour while listening to classic rock. That is the instinct. It is also the mistake that gets most people killed. The conflict is that the roads are already parking lots, and the radioactive fallout, pulverized earth and debris sucked up into the atmosphere and made radioactive, is about to rain down like a fatal snowstorm. The change in your behaviour needs to happen in the first 10 to 20 minutes. You have to suppress the urge to run and instead embrace the urge to hide. The result of staying put is that you survive the most lethal phase of the event without getting a lethal dose of radiation. So, put down the car keys. We are going nowhere fast, and that is exactly how we win. Let's talk about that 15-minute window. This is the time between the flash and the arrival of the fallout. Fallout is essentially heavy dust that emits gamma radiation, which penetrates most materials and damages your cells at a molecular level. Think of it as an invisible sunburn that goes all the way through your body. If you are caught outside when that dust settles, your odds drop to near zero. The desire is to find the perfect shelter, deep underground, stocked with beans and filtered air. The conflict is that you probably are at work, at home, or in a coffee shop, and you don't have a bunker key. The panic sets in. You look for the perfect spot and waste precious minutes. We need to shift your criteria from perfect to adequate. The change is understanding the geometry of shielding. You want mass between you and the outside world. Concrete, brick, earth, and steel are your best friends. A standard wood frame house offers very little protection, but the basement of that house is decent. The centre of a large office building is better. A subway tunnel is gold. The result is that you get inside before the sky starts falling. If you are in a car, get out. Cars are glass and thin metal. They are terrible radiation shields and excellent coffins. Find a building. If you are in a multi-storey building, go to the centre floors. Not the roof, because dust settles there. Not the ground floor, because dust piles up outside. Go to the middle. It is the principle of distance. You are putting as much concrete as possible between you and the radioactive particles. Once you are in, shut everything. Windows, doors, vents. Tape them up if you have tape, stuff towels in the cracks if you don't. This isn't about making the room airtight forever. It is about keeping the physical dust out of your living space. Congratulations, you have survived the first hour. Now the real work begins. So you are inside. The adrenaline is wearing off, and the reality is setting in. It is dark because the power grid is likely down, and it is quiet, which is somehow worse. Day one is not about action. It is about radical inaction. The desire is to know what is happening. You want to open the door, check on the neighbours, or try to get a cell signal near a window. This is the conflict. Your curiosity is now a lethal liability. The radiation levels outside are at their absolute peak right now. The concept you need to embrace is the inverse square law, but we can keep it simple. Every hour you wait, the radiation gets less deadly. It decays rapidly. The change is to treat the outside world as if it is made of lava. Do not look out the window. Do not open the door for the cat. If you have a radio, crank it. If you get static, keep it on low. Information is the most valuable resource you have, but do not go outside to get it. If you were exposed to the air before you got inside, we have a problem. Radioactive dust might be on your clothes or hair. The result of bringing that inside is that you turn your shelter into a microwave. You need to decontaminate. This sounds technical, but it really just means stripping down. Take off your outer layer of clothes. Put them in a plastic bag. Seal the bag. Put that bag as far away from you as possible. If you can wash with soap and water, do it. If water is scarce, wipe your skin with a damp cloth. Do not use conditioner in your hair. It binds radioactive particles to the hair shaft, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say, but here we are. Be gentle. You do not want to scrub your skin raw and create open entry points. Once you are clean, you sit. You wait. You eat nothing that was left uncovered. You drink only from sealed bottles or the water remaining in your hot water heater. We are playing the waiting game, and the prize is seeing next week. While you are sitting in the dark, let's do some math. Survival is mostly algebra with higher stakes. You need to inventory what you have. The desire is to eat a comfort meal to calm your nerves. You want to crush that bag of chips and drink a soda. The conflict is that you don't know how long you will be here. It could be 2 days. It could be 2 weeks before the radiation drops enough to move. If you eat everything now, you starve later. The change is strict rationing immediately. Count your calories. Count your litres. A human being needs about 2 to 3 litres of water a day to maintain basic function. Maybe less if you are just lying on the floor trying not to panic. Food is secondary. You can go 3 weeks without food. You die in 3 days without water. The result is a spreadsheet in your head. Check your water sources. Bottled water is safe. The water in your toilet tank, the tank, not the bowl, is usually safe. The water heater is a gold mine of 40 or 50 gallons. Do not drink from the tap. The municipal supply might be compromised or depressurized, sucking in contaminants. If you have a bathtub and you filled it right when the event started, you are winning. If not, work with what you have. Rationing isn't just about starving slowly, it is about maintaining discipline. It gives you a job. Organize your cans. Count your granola bars. Assign values to them. This sounds tedious, but boredom is a luxury right now. If you are with others, this inventory process is crucial for trust. Everyone sees what is there. Everyone agrees on the plan. If you hoard a candy bar in your pocket, you are planting the seeds of a mutiny that will sprout in 10 days. Transparency is your best security system inside the shelter. So, take stock. You might find you have more than you think, or you might find you need to start drinking half rations immediately. Better to know now than when your throat is closing up on day 4. Welcome to the tunnel. Days 2 through 14 are the hardest phase mentally. The initial shock is gone, replaced by a crushing monotony and the slow dawning horror of hygiene in a sealed room. The radiation outside is still high, though dropping. The desire is to leave, to breathe fresh air, to use a flushing toilet. The conflict is that the infrastructure is dead. The sewer lines rely on pumps that need electricity. If you flush the toilet, it might not come back, or worse, it might back up. The change is accepting that you are now living in a space capsule without a bathroom. You need a sanitation plan. This is where the romance of the apocalypse dies fast. You need a bucket. Line it with heavy-duty bags. Use kitty litter, dirt, or shredded paper to cover waste. Seal it tight. The result is disease control. Dysentery has killed more armies than bullets ever did. If you get sick with a stomach bug in a survival situation, dehydration will kill you faster than the fallout. Keep the facilities as far from the food and water as possible. Wash your hands. If you don't have water to spare, use sanitizer. If you don't have sanitizer, use a separate cloth. Hygiene is not about smelling good, it is about not dying of cholera in your basement. On the medical front, minor injuries are now major threats. A cut finger that gets infected can become sepsis without antibiotics. Treat every scratch like surgery. Disinfect, bandage, keep it clean. If you have potassium iodide tablets, this is the window to use them, but only if directed or if you know for a fact there is radioactive iodine in the air. They protect your thyroid, not your whole body. They are not magic anti-radiation pills, so don't pop them like candy. Most of your time will be spent sitting. This is physically safer as you burn fewer calories and consume less oxygen. It is psychologically brutal. The silence is loud. You need to sleep in shifts if you are with people. Someone should always be awake, monitoring the radio or just listening to the house. It keeps the nightmares at bay and ensures you don't miss a rescue broadcast or a structural failure. Let's talk about your brain, because it is going to try to kill you during these 2 weeks. Isolation and confinement trigger a stress response that can lead to paranoia, hallucinations, and aggression. The desire is to snap, to yell, to blame someone for the lack of coffee. The conflict is that tension destroys the group. If you are alone, the conflict is despair. The change is routine. You need to build a clock out of habits. Breakfast is at a specific time, even if breakfast is 3 crackers. Radio check is at noon. Exercise, very light stretching, is at 2. Story time or reading is at 6. The result is a scaffold for your mind. You are not just waiting to die, you are managing a schedule. If you have kids, this is non-negotiable. They need structure to feel safe. Play games, ideally quiet ones. Card games are the king of the apocalypse. They take 0 power and infinite time. If you are alone, talk to yourself. Narrate your actions. I am now opening the can of peas. It sounds crazy, but it keeps the language centers of your brain active and reminds you that you are still a person, not just an organism in a box. Avoid speculation. Sitting around guessing who dropped the bomb or which cities are gone is a poison. It breeds anxiety. Focus on the immediate. The temperature of the room, the water level, the next meal. Be the person who focuses on the solvable problems. If you start spiraling about the geopolitical ramifications of the end of the world, bring it back to the bucket. The bucket is real. The bucket is solvable. Handle the bucket. By day 14, the radiation levels outside will have dropped significantly, potentially to 1% of what they were on day 1. This is the rule of 7. 7 hours after the blast, radiation is 10%. 49 hours, 1%. 2 weeks, it is manageable for short durations. You are almost ready to poke your head out. Day 15. You are pale, you smell terrible, and you have read the back of a cereal box 400 times. But you are alive. Now we shift from sheltering to assessing. The desire is to run outside and frolic. The conflict is that safe is a relative term. There are still hotspots, debris is dangerous, and other people might be desperate. The change is a tactical emergence. You don't just open the door and leave, you scout. If you have a Geiger counter, this is its moment. If not, you have to rely on official reports from that radio you've been guarding. If you have neither, watch the natural world. Are insects moving? Are birds flying? It's a rough metric, but life tends to signal life. Dress for the occasion. Cover your skin. Wear a mask, an N95 or even a layered cloth mask helps keep dust out of your lungs. The goal is not to migrate yet, it is to scavenge. You are looking for resources within a tight radius of your shelter. The result is restocking your criticals. Water is the priority. You might find rain barrels, hot water tanks in abandoned houses, or bottled water in offices. Anything you find outside needs to be treated. Filter it to remove the radioactive dust. A simple cloth filter works for the big particles, then a finer filter like sand or charcoal. Then boil it to kill the bacteria. Radiation doesn't boil out, but the dust that carries it can be filtered. This is a key distinction. Dissolved radioactive isotopes are hard to remove, but suspended fallout dust is filterable. Assume everything outside is dusty. Wipe down cans before you open them. Peel fruit if you find it. Do not eat the skin of anything that has been outside. You are also looking for information. What does the neighbourhood look like? Is the bridge down? Is there a fire spreading 2 blocks over? You are building a mental map of the new world. Avoid people for now. That sounds cold, but in the first month, strangers are variables you cannot calculate. Observe from a distance. If they look organised and calm, mark them as potential future allies. If they look erratic or armed, mark the zone as red. You are a ghost. Be boring, be unseen. By day 30, you face the big decision. Do we stay or do we go? The desire is to find a better place, the mythical farm in the country, the government's safe zone. The conflict is that travel is the most dangerous activity you can undertake. You are exposed, you are burning calories, and you are carrying your life on your back. The change is a cold calculation of resources versus risk. If your shelter is intact, secure, and you have water sources nearby, staying is usually statistically safer. The road is full of unknowns. However, if your shelter is compromised, or the area is burning, or you are totally dry on water, you have to move. This is the bug-out scenario. If you move with purpose. Pack light. Water, socks, medical kit, light food. No cast iron skillets. No photo albums. If it doesn't keep you alive, it is dead weight. Plan your route to avoid major highways. Highways are choke points. They are where the desperate congregate and where the cars are piled up. Stick to secondary roads or rail lines. Keep a low profile. Moving at dawn or dusk is safer than midday. The result is preserving your energy. If you decide to stay, the bug-in strategy, you need to upgrade your home. Fortify. Board up lower windows. Clear debris from the perimeter to remove fire hazards. Create a clean room inside where you sleep, and a dirty room at the entrance where you strip off outside gear. You are turning your temporary lifeboat into a permanent habitat. Scavenge nearby buildings systematically. Don't just grab food, grab tools. Nails, hammers, buckets, plastic sheeting, warm clothes. In a month, a good winter coat will be worth more than a sports car. This is the phase where you stop acting like a victim of a disaster and start acting like a pioneer in a hostile environment. You are reclaiming territory, one room at a time. Welcome to month 2. If you are still alone, you are in trouble. Humans are pack animals. We have dull teeth and no claws. Our superpower is cooperation. The desire is to remain isolated to keep your resources safe. The conflict is that you have to sleep eventually. You cannot guard a perimeter, scavenge for water, and grow food simultaneously. You need a tribe. The change is careful recruitment. You are not looking for friends, you are looking for co-workers. You need skills. A nurse, a carpenter, a mechanic, someone who knows how to farm. Even someone who is just calm and follows orders is valuable. The result is a force multiplier. 2 people can do the work of 3 because of efficiency. 4 people can run a 24-hour watch rotation. But how do you trust? You use the trust algorithm. Start with small, low-risk exchanges. Trade a battery for a can of beans. See if they honour the deal. Share information. The bridge is out to the north. If they reciprocate with truth, you build credit. If they lie, you ghost them. Do not bring strangers into your shelter immediately. Meet on neutral ground. Look for signs of stability. Are they clean? Do they look fed? Desperate people are dangerous because they have nothing to lose. Stable people have something to protect, which makes them rational. Once you form a group, establish rules immediately. It sounds bureaucratic, but you need a constitution. How is food divided? Who is in charge of defence? How do we handle disputes? Democracy is great, but in a crisis, you sometimes need a captain. Pick the most level-headed person, not the loudest. Avoid the guy who has been waiting his whole life to play soldier. You want the guy who was a project manager and knows how to allocate resources. The goal is to create a micro-society that provides safety. Security is no longer about a locked door. It is about having 6 eyes watching the street. You protect them, they protect you. This is how civilization started the first time, and it is how it starts again. Around day 45, the scavenged food will start to thin out. The easy pickings are gone. The grocery stores were stripped in week 1. The pantries of abandoned houses are empty. The desire is to keep scavenging further and further away. The conflict is that the calorie cost of walking 10 miles to find a can of peas is higher than the calories in the peas. You are hitting the calorie cliff. The change is shifting from hunting to gathering and producing. You need to start thinking about renewable food. If it is spring or summer, you need to plant now. You don't need a tractor. You need 5-gallon buckets and dirt. Potatoes, beans, greens. These grow fast and offer high nutrition. Scavenge seeds from garden centres or even from the pantry. Dried beans can often be sprouted. If you are in a city, look for rooftop gardens or parks. But be careful of the soil. If the fallout was heavy, the topsoil might be contaminated. Scrape off the top few inches or use soil from bags found in stores. The result is a future harvest. It won't feed you today, but it will feed you on day 100. In the meantime, you need to widen your diet. Dandelions are edible. Cattails are edible. Learn the local flora. It isn't a 5-star meal, but it is vitamins. Also, look for the things people ignore. Pet food is safe for humans. It tastes terrible, but it is protein and fat. If you are too proud to eat kibble, you aren't hungry enough yet. Trapping small game, rabbits, squirrels, is more energy efficient than hunting. A snare works while you sleep. A hunter walks all day. But check the animal. If it has tumours or looks sick, discard it. Cook everything thoroughly. We are looking for sustainability now. You are pivoting from a consumer of the old world to a producer in the new one. It is a hard transition. You will lose weight. You will be tired. But if you can bridge this gap, you make it to the long term. By day 60, the shock has worn off completely. This is just life now. The adrenaline is gone, replaced by a persistent, dull ache of labour and vigilance. The desire is to reclaim comforts, hot showers, electric lights, music. The conflict is that those things are gone for a long time. The change is adaptation through skill acquisition. You stop waiting for the power to come back and start building alternatives. You learn to make candles from animal fat or scavenged wax. You learn to rig a solar panel from a garden light to charge a battery. You are entering the maker phase. The people who survive the long haul are the ones who can fix things. Learn to sew. Clothes wear out fast when you are working manual labour every day. Learn basic dentistry, how to pack a lost filling. Learn how to sharpen a knife properly. The result is competence. Competence reduces fear. When you know you can fix a leak or treat a wound, you panic less. You also become valuable to your group and others. A guy with a gun is a dime a dozen. A guy who can fix a radio is a king. This is also when you need to address mental health aggressively. Depression is a silent killer. The suicide rate spikes when the hope of a quick rescue fades. You need purpose. Celebrate small victories. The first tomato from the garden. The repair of the roof. Hold a holiday, even if the date is wrong. Music, storytelling, art, these are not frivolous, they are the fuel for the human spirit. You have to remind yourself why you are fighting to stay alive. It isn't just to breathe, it is to live. Connect with your people. Grieve the old world together, then let it go. The nostalgia trap is dangerous. Don't obsess over what you lost. Focus on what you are building. You are the ancestors now. Act like it. As we approach day 100, the landscape has changed. The radiation is largely back to background levels in many places, though hotspots remain. The weak have perished. The foolish have perished. The unlucky have perished. If you are here, you are resilient, lucky, and adaptable. The desire is to expand, to connect with other groups, to trade, to rebuild society. The conflict is that not every group has good intentions. Warlordism is a real phase in the collapse of empires. The change is cautious diplomacy. You reach out, but you keep your guard up. You establish trade routes. You share knowledge. Maybe you find a doctor in the next town and trade food for penicillin. The result is the beginning of a network. Civilization is just a web of agreements between people. You are reweaving that web. You might hear rumours of government remnants or aid drops. Listen, but don't rely on them. If the cavalry comes, great. If not, you are already self-sufficient. The 100-day mark is a psychological milestone. You have survived a season. You have proven that you can endure the worst thing humanity can do to itself. You have faced the fire, the dark, the hunger, and the fear. And you are still standing. The apocalypse is not an event, it is a transition. You have made the transition. You are no longer a survivor of the old world. You are a citizen of the new one. It is going to be hard, it is going to be dirty, but it is yours. Surviving the first 100 days of a nuclear apocalypse is not about being a hero with a machine gun. It is about being a disciplined, boring, cautious planner who understands hygiene and calorie math. It is about suppressing the urge to run and embracing the discipline to sit still. It is about realizing that your greatest weapon is not a rifle, but a water filter and a bucket. The lessons are simple. Preparation buys you time. Knowledge buys you options. Community buys you a future. If you take nothing else away from this, remember the rule of 3. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. Prioritize accordingly. Don't worry about the zombies. Worry about the dysentery. Don't worry about the mutants. Worry about the dehydration. Real survival is quiet. It doesn't look like an action movie. It looks like a community garden with a very strict neighbourhood watch. So, here is my challenge to you. Don't just nod and click to the next video. Take 5 minutes today. Look at your pantry. Look at your water access. Ask yourself, if the flash happened right now, could I make it to day 3? If the answer is no, buy a few jugs of water. Buy a bag of rice. It's cheap insurance for a world that is increasingly expensive. And if you have a plan, drop a comment below. Quietly, don't give away your stash location, and tell me what your first move is in the 15-minute gap. I'm Tom, and this has been the Apocalypse Curriculum. Stay safe, stay boring, and I'll see you on the other side.